Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring spectacular settlements. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring what is perhaps the only settlement creation book that you will need, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about towns. A town may be an idyllic, colorful oasis of commerce, or the bustling mercantile comings and goings might be a front for criminal activity. A town can be tiny, perhaps no larger than an average village, or can be huge, almost a city in its own right, with blossoming elements of culture and ceremony. Towns are built around their regular market days. On market day, a town becomes a hive of activity, where folk from miles around come to both buy what they need and to sell what they can, in order to provide for their families. Towns truly merge the singular aspects of villages and trading posts, taking the long-term residential nature of a village and adding a commercial marketplace. This creates a settlement type that is perhaps the most versatile of all. As you proceed, do so knowing that the place you are about to build will be uniquely yours and unlike anything else you've ever created thus far. This section, like the others, contains the steps to create a town, with basic information, community tables, points of interest, and even extra intrigue. When it comes to basic information, you can generate things such as the origin of the town, why the town came to be, perhaps due to a decree. It was decided by some authority that a town was needed here. Funds and materials were set aside for its founding, and it was established. Or maybe it's a key crossroads. The town was established on a crossroads frequented by travelers from all over. You can also generate the priority of the town. What is most important about this place? Perhaps it's military. The town prioritizes defenses and law enforcement. Or maybe the magic. The town is focused on some form of magical pursuit, be it the business in armor, books, or magical clothing. You also have the town's specialty, which is the most popular thing about the town. Maybe it's industry. This town is known for certain industrial processes, such as milling, textiles, or smelting. Or perhaps connections. This town is full of people who can find and obtain almost anything. You can also determine the age of the town. Maybe it's recent, established within the past year. The town has not been around long. Awareness has likely not spread beyond the immediate surrounding area. Or maybe it's ancient. The town is hundreds of years old, or more. It may still be thriving, or in ruins, remaining much like it has always been, or may have drastically changed for better or worse. You also have the size of the town. Perhaps it's small, up to 500 standing structures in an area able to support around 2,000 people. Or maybe it's a large town, with up to 1,500 standing structures in an area able to support around 6,000 people. You can also determine the condition of the town. Maybe it's lousy. Things are in rough shape. Most structures seem unsound, or are just in poor condition. Windows, if there are any, may be broken or boarded up. Walls are stained, and streets are rotted or cracked. The smells are an affront to the senses. Or maybe it's superb. The town is exemplary in all aspects. The buildings are built with exquisite skill and flair, leaving no doubt as to their quality. The roads are immaculately kept, with little to no detritus anywhere. The smells are those of fresh air and flowers, grass and trees, or cool sea mist. You can also generate the environment. Maybe it's a coastal town. It is near a large body of water, such as a lake or ocean. Or perhaps it's within a valley, or on the edge of an area of recessed elevations in relation to the landscape around it. You can determine the prosperity of the town. Maybe it's abysmal failure. The town has had little to no business, or has been very unfortunate. Or maybe it's mildly successful. The town has attained a mild degree of success and visibility. You can also determine details about the market square. Maybe it's tight, only room for a few key vendor stalls, or maybe it's spacious, room for lots of vendor stalls. When it comes to vendor stall acquisition, perhaps it's first come first served, no fee. Merchants line up prior to market day. Those at the front of the line are given the spaces, no fees are charged. Or maybe it's a bid. Prior to market day, the spaces are auctioned off. When it comes to merchant overflow, perhaps they are monitored. Excess vendors are allowed to set up stalls, and the town guard patrols through regularly. But the areas themselves are less maintained and traffic is lighter. Or maybe there is a ban. Excess vendors are not allowed to set up stalls outside of town. Town guards will enforce this. When it comes to fortification, maybe the town is unfortified. The town's perimeter is open, allowing entry from almost any point. Or perhaps it's heavily fortified. The town proper is surrounded by a heavy wall of wood or stone, with several watchtowers built along its length. The gate is double thickness and reinforced with metal bands. There are additional watchtowers built at various points throughout the surrounding countryside. When it comes to the community itself, you can determine the population density. Perhaps the town is a skeleton. The town only has enough people to function at its most basic level. Or perhaps it's dense. There is a large amount of people living here. There are few, if any, vacant buildings. In high traffic areas, one generally has elbow room, but not much more. When it comes to population overflow, perhaps a tenth of the town's population is outside the town proper. Or maybe just under half of the town's population is outside the town proper. Concerning farms and resources, maybe they have agriculture. A group of farms which provide food are found on the nearest hospitable land under the town's control. Or maybe they also have livestock under those conditions. When it comes to visitor traffic, perhaps there are groups. There are generally a fair amount of visitors. It may slightly increase congestion. Maybe there are masses. Huge groups of people always seem to be visiting. Congestion could cause difficulties if the town is unable to cope with very large amounts of people. When it comes to night activity, maybe it's quiet. Everything is closed except for inns and taverns, which remain open until midnight. Or maybe it's active. Inns and taverns remain open perpetually. Some shops and services may be open, catering to late travelers or night owls. Concerning demographics, maybe the town has 60% of a primary race and 40% of a secondary race. Or maybe it has 80% of a primary race and 20% of a secondary race. Concerning disposition, maybe the town is unfriendly. Locals don't care much for visitors, looking upon them with contempt, fear, or suspicion. Or maybe they are open. The locals actively enjoy visitors, and their culture incorporates this. Just about anyone is welcome. Concerning leadership, maybe there is a mayor. The locals democratically voted for their current leader. Or maybe leadership is hereditary. A non-elected leader is in power by virtue of their bloodline. Concerning law enforcement, maybe there is a sheriff, as well as a handful of deputies. This is sanctioned by the town's governing entity. Or maybe there is a strong town watch. The watch is run by a seasoned captain with 2 lieutenants, a few corporals, and an ample quantity of boots on the ground. Presence allows for extra patrols and well-rested guards. Concerning population wealth, maybe the town is impoverished. Around half of the town struggles to carve out even a meager existence. Or maybe it's an affluent town. The entire town is able to live comfortably, with a significant portion living in luxury. When it comes to crime, maybe crime is average. Theft or mild violence can happen from time to time. Best to keep an eye out. Or maybe it's rare. Most in the town have had no personal experience of crime in the town, and no few people that have. There are also details on points of interest. with non-commercial location types such as places of gathering or places of government. In the places of education category, there could be universities, libraries, forums. When it comes to places of gathering, maybe there is a dance hall or an outdoor recreational area. Concerning places of government, maybe there is a courthouse or a treasury. In places of worship, perhaps there is an oratory or a temple. Concerning the fervency of local following, maybe it's quiet. Adherents to the faith are inconspicuous unless one knows what to look for, or maybe they are moderate. The pious are confident and unafraid to display their faith openly, but do not encroach upon the wider populace uncalled for. The alignment of the faith could be neutral or perhaps evil. Concerning commercial locations, perhaps you find shops or services such as general stores, tailors, thatchers, alchemist shops. Perhaps you can find services at the stable, at the tavern, bathhouses, and hired help in general. Concerning the quality of either services or goods, it could be fine quality or perhaps poor. Concerning extra intrigue, perhaps in recent history the town was defended. There was a failed attack on the town by a local force. Or maybe there is a tunnel. What's this then? On the outskirts, someone has discovered a tunnel leading towards town. Even stranger, it's incomplete, not even reaching halfway. Who has dug the tunnel and why? When it comes to officials, maybe there is a jailer, a judge, a master of rebels. Concerning official competence, maybe it's corrupt or maybe committed. When it comes to market day, perhaps it's raining hard. Many of the vendors are fighting to get their wares covered so they remain unspoiled. Or maybe there is a traveling puppet show in town, performing a political parody of some famous regional figures to rapturous applause. At the end of this section, you have some sample towns, complete with maps and fully fleshed out using the tables explained earlier. Let me read a few of them to you. There is Aetherdale. It is oft considered a valley of gods and a cradle of ideas and discovery. Happened upon centuries ago by treasure seekers, stories of the valley reached the neighboring kingdom. Its lord, both militant and philosophical, organized a decades-long expedition to rediscover the site. Little is written of this time other than the concluding decree of Aetherdale's establishment upon rediscovery. The town is immaculate, buildings equal parts art and function, adorned in effigies sculpted from manicured botanicals. It is said that one can purchase anything in Aetherdale if one knows where to look. The market square allows for but a few vendors daily, but the adjoining streets house merchants unable to secure space. We also have Craghold. The ancient town of Craghold is a thriving dwarven settlement residing in the frozen reaches of the world. Snow blankets a floor of stone and thick glacial ice. Led by monks and clerics sworn to the god of the forge, the Blazing Brow clan followed elemental ley lines into the tundra and founded the town at the convergence of 4 such lines. A volcanic hot spring on a cliff overlooking the icy sea. To shelter from the elements and dangerous wilderness, they cut down into the rock face, gradually carving buildings and narrow streets as their iron mines bore deeper into the rock. We also have Lanalore, the northern logging town of Lanalore, named for the first sawmill owner, George Lanalore. It was built by decree from the planning and management magistrate for the kingdom. As the kingdom grew, additional resources were needed to supply lumber for housing and shipbuilding, so it was that Lanalore was built downstream of the mill on the river Callum, whose waters offer quick passage to ships full of lumber. And these are just a few of the sample towns. This concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to take a look at cities. This town section is great because towns work well in all sorts of campaigns, be it short campaigns, long campaigns, and with all sorts of levels as well. Many characters from lower levels of power to mid-tier usually end up in town, one way or the other, and sooner rather than later. And in my experience, even when player characters travel to larger cities, they usually end up returning to town every now and then to visit friends and family members, or perhaps because of rumors of new adventures, or on their way to more dangerous adventure sites. So the tables included in this section are going to help you flesh out any sort of town and even create a town in ruins to serve as an exploration site. Maybe the town is haunted, or it was taken over by monsters, or perhaps the town is cursed. You can come up with all sorts of circumstances and excuses for adventures. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending right through RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.